Hi everyone, it's Lisa Mears. Thank you for joining me. In today's video, I am going to be making a card using the Spellbinders clear stamp of the month and the small die of the month for October. I want to just start out by just showing you quickly the stamp set. It is called Wonderful Christmas and it has some poinsettia stamps and several sentiments such as Merry Christmas, Have a Wonderful Christmas, and more. And if you belong to the clear stamp and coordinating die of the month, you also would get the coordinating dies to cut all of these images out. The Spellbinders small die of the month for October is called Outlined Christmas Sentiments, and they are some word dies. There's lots of word dies here that you can use for Christmas sentiments or winter sentiments on your holiday cards. It does cut out the words and there is a die for the shadow, so if you wanted to back it up on some other color cardstock you can do that. The font is a script font so you can see all of the words that are included, and there's also a small poinsettia die and leaves and some berries to go along with that. If you are interested in receiving any of these club sets, you have now through October 28th in order to receive the October club shipment. If there are any left over, Spellbinders usually puts them for sale on their website, but there's no guarantees. So I will have all club information located down in the description box below. So if you're interested in finding out more, you can take a look at those product links down in the description box. So I went ahead and stamped out the image of the large poinsettia flower with some Versafine Onyx black ink, and I'm doing some watercoloring. I'm using my Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens to do the watercoloring as well as a water brush. So the colors that I'm using for the poinsettia are the deep red as well as the red color. So I'm adding the deep red towards the inside center, and then I'm adding the red color, which is a much brighter red, and then using my water brush just to blend those colors out to the tips of the ends of those petals. When I do watercoloring for my stamped images, I like to use Bristol Smooth Cardstock. It has a very smooth finish and it's not so thick, and I find that the zig markers blend very easily on the Bristol Smooth Cardstock. If you're doing watercoloring and you're using a lot of water, you might want to use a watercolor paper because watercolor paper will hold the water, but I don't suggest you use regular cardstock because you're not going to be able to blend with watercolor markers on regular cardstock. So you can see that this stamped image is a very large image, and what I like about it is that you can actually put it in the corner of a card. You can see how it is shaped to fit in the corner of a card, and you can put it in a portrait sized card or in a landscape size card. It would fit perfectly in both orientations. There are also some smaller flower stamps on this stamp set, and I did stamp those out off camera and colored them off camera, but I'm not going to show the coloring of those simply because the coloring is very similar to what you see me doing here on this large flower. So I do color up the leaves with a light green. That's the color of the zig marker. It's called light green, and I use that with the water brush. And then for those blue flowers, I use the Persian blue as well as a water brush. So for the green and blue, I'm just using one color of the zig and I'm just blending it out with water. And for the yellow, I use the bright yellow zig marker. So once I finish coloring that, I go ahead and use the coordinating die to cut that out. Next, I'll set that aside and I'll work on my background. I am going to be using the Spellbinders Beveled Diamonds 3D embossing folder. And to get a really good impression with these embossing folders, I'm going to be using the Spellbinders Universal Plate System. I start out with the platform base A and put it in my die cutting machine, followed by the embossing folder with my cardstock. So I have a piece of red cardstock that I cut to 4 inches by 5¼ inches, and I place that in the embossing folder, and then I'm going to put the adapter plate on top and run that through my die cutting machine. And that is the perfect sandwich to use when you're using the Spellbinders 3D embossing folders, and you can see what a beautiful impression that gives on your cardstock. So now I'm just going to go ahead and decorate the top of this cardstock. So I'm going to add all of my stamped images, including the ones that I colored off camera. So I'm going to add the large stamp in the corner and tuck some of the other smaller flower stamps inside and add the small poinsettia on the top. And then I'll go ahead and glue all of those images down to the cardstock. After they're all glued down, I'll work on my sentiment, and I'm using the small die of the month for my sentiment, and I die cut Merry Christmas out of white cardstock. I did put some double-sided adhesive tape on the back of that white cardstock before running it through my die cut machine to make this into a sticker, because you can see how thin and intricate those lines are on the word, and I didn't want to have to worry about trying to put glue on the back of those thin lines. So I'm using the sentiment Merry Christmas, and then I'll add that to my white card base, and my card base measures 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. I'm going to add some of the Opal Spellbinders Color Essential Gems to the front of the card. So I'll add 3 around the sentiment, and then I'm also going to add a couple inside of the flowers just to add a little bit of sparkle. So that will complete my card for today. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for more card making inspiration. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.